Hey guys, it's Rob Hodge with Alpha Omega Martial Arts here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Here to give you a little wisdom today that will hopefully make you a better, more balanced martial artist. Whether you do Aikido, Jiu-jitsu, striking arts, doesn't matter. What I'm going to share with you applies to any and all systems. Okay? I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to have in order to have a deep understanding of what your martial art can do for you and what you can do with your martial art. Okay? Here they are. Technique, drills, and sparring. If you've been around in martial arts a long time, if you've got experience, this will make perfect sense to you. If you're young in the martial arts or you're kind of new in the martial arts, please hear me out. You've got to see this, okay? If you have any 2 of these 3 and are lacking in one of the areas, you're going to have a broken understanding of your system. Let me explain. My martial arts journey started with Taekwondo. At the beginning of the week, Mondays and Wednesdays, we would learn forms. I would down block and I would punch, and I would up block and I would punch, okay? And then at the end of the week on Friday, we would spar. I have techniques, punches and blocks, and I have sparring. But what happens is I don't understand what the technique does. I don't know when to use this down block. I don't know if I'm blocking a punch. I don't know if I'm blocking a kick. I don't know what this does. And all of a sudden, I got a guy kicking at me. He's doing these like hurricane kicks. He's spinning, okay? I'm frustrated. Have no idea what I'm doing. And my faith in my martial art, my faith in Taekwondo at that time was really deflated. On the flip side, over here, let's say you have technique and you have drills. You learn a technique, you learn how to punch, you learn how to block, and then you drill it. You learn how to defend, you counter punch, it looks good, okay? But what happens is you don't put it under fire, you don't put it under pressure, you don't test it with sparring, and then you have a false confidence, okay? Because you always have a partner that's doing what you ask them to do, and they're not offering any resistance. You don't know what it feels like to have somebody fight back. You always put the wrist lock on, your partner always taps out. Okay? So because what we do here at Alpha Omega is more, I teach more about self-defense than I do sport. I always pretend that that guy on the street is not going to let me do a technique. And I have to train that to understand how to vary, how to follow through a technique, or to abandon the technique and move on to something else. Okay? And the last one, let's say you have drills and sparring. You have drills and sparring, but you don't have technique. These are the guys that watch a couple YouTube videos and think they're a godsend to martial arts. They watched a handful of Jiu-jitsu videos and they watched a 5-minute Muay Thai segment, and all of a sudden they think they know martial arts altogether, but they have no technique. They say, man, I watched a boxing video, I learned how to punch like this, but what it looks like when they go out and play with their friends is this, because they don't trust it and they don't have guard and they drop their hands, and it's a very ugly, ugly scene. So you definitely, if you try to learn something online but you don't really understand the techniques, then you don't have a deep understanding of what those techniques can do and really what those techniques are for. Okay? So in any case, I hope that makes sense that you've got to balance these. You learn a handful of techniques. Heck, you learn a whole system really of techniques. You drill those techniques with variations and with resistance and with changes. And then you take those variations and those changes and you put them into live sparring, and then you have an understanding of the techniques, when and how to use them, and what it feels like against an opponent who doesn't want that done to him or her. So again, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, please ask your questions in the comments below. If it makes sense and you like this video, please like it, share it, tell a friend. Again, this is Alpha Omega Martial Arts. And remember one thing, free training is good, but good training isn't free. Thanks.